Simulation theory suggests that the world we live in today is essentially a computer-generated simulation in which people are artificially created. This theory is supported by philosopher Nick Bostrom, who claims that since many technologists and futurologists anticipate that massive amounts of computing power will be available in the future, future generations may use this power and technology to run detailed simulations of their ancestors or of people who resemble them. Of course, this is only possible if future computing power is capable of producing beings with consciousness, which most people think is impossible. Rastafarianism. Rastafarianism is an Abrahamic religion that originated in Jamaica in the 1930s. It is based on a particular interpretation of the Bible, according to which Jesus was a black African and the white Jesus was a false god. As a result, they treat Christianity suspiciously and see the two faiths as incompatible because they cannot share the same God with their oppressors. Interestingly, Rastafarians have an interesting perspective on death, believing that the soul continues its journey after death as long as the individual practices righteousness throughout their entire life. As a result, they do not observe funerals. Never-ending life theory. This idea, which is simply a type of reincarnation without religion involved, is rather simple. It holds that people die and are reincarnated as new individuals with no knowledge of their former existence. The never-ending life is believed in by 20% of secular Americans and 22% of secular Europeans. Cosmic theory. Many people also believe that the end of the world and the universe will occur anywhere between 1 and 100 trillion years from now, because eventually the supply of gas needed for star formation will be exhausted. As existing stars run out of fuel and cease to shine, the universe will slowly and inexorably grow darker. This is called the Big Freeze, or the heat. This theory, known as the cosmic theory, asserts that our consciousness belongs to the universe, not to our individual bodies or God, and that when we die, our consciousness returns to the cosmos. Buddhist theory. Buddhists has a version of reincarnation that is even more intricate than the never-ending life theory. According to the rebirth philosophy, rebirth occurs in one of the 6 realms of samsara, the realms of animals, ghosts, humans, and demigods, the domain of hell. Nirvana is the ultimate goal of Buddhist teaching, which means breaking free from all worldly desire and only living for spiritual gain. Various Buddhist traditions state that rebirth is determined by karma, with good and bad realms favored by good-bad skilled or unskillful karma. A significant portion of Orthodox Buddhism has focused on the acquisition of merit and its transmission as a means of avoiding rebirth in the evil realms and attaining rebirth in the good realms. Parallel universe. This theory, commonly referred to as the Min Worlds theory, has been supported by several science fiction films and comic books, but some people think it may be true. According to the Many Worlds theory, for every possible course of action, the world splits into a copy of itself. This is an instantaneous process that Princeton University doctorate student Josh Clark called a decohesion writer. This theory holds that when we die, we will still be living in the same universe as we were before, just in a different part of space and time. It likens this concept to a choose-your-own-adventure book, except instead of offering you the option to choose the page you land on, the world divides in 2, ensuring that every action is carried out. Dream theory. This theory is bizarre and not supported by any scientific data, more of a fun theory. Dream theories claim that we are living within our dreams, and that we wake up in a different world when we wake up from this one. This is thought to be the case since we can experience all of our senses in our dreams, including taste, smell, and touch. Could life just be a massive realistic feeling dream after all? Renowned deaf and blind novelist Helen Keller even writes in her memoirs of being able to see and hear in her dreams things that she could never recall having while awake. Aztec theory. Aztec theory would have preferred that the Aztecs possessed a very intricate and fascinating. The afterlife is said to exist in three paths: the sun, Mictlan, and Tlalocan. Depending on how you pass away, you can wind up in one of these afterlives. People who died naturally would go to Mictlan, the Aztec equivalent of Satan, where the deceased would start their journey. Soldiers and women who died giving birth became hummingbirds that follow the sun. After overcoming a number of challenges to attain the release of their soul, individuals who died from illness or drowning proceeded to Tlalocan, who governed the Attic version of heaven via the 9 sages of hell. Nothingness, heaven nothingness, an uncertain theory nothingness. The belief that after you die, you lose consciousness, nothing occurs, and you are surrounded by darkness is known as the eternal oblivion theory. This hypothesis is largely accepted by atheists, and depending on your point of view, it either delivers a terrifying or consoling conclusion. According to a Pew Research Center study, 17% of Americans do not believe in an afterlife. A related theory is called the uncertain theory, which holds that we cannot truly know what happens to us when we die, so there is no use in debating it. Therefore, it does not necessarily hold that when we die, we simply exist in an empty state of nothingness. Christian theory. The most well-known theory about Christianity's afterlife holds that believers in Jesus Christ live a good and spiritual life, honoring Him and living as close to Him as possible, rather than living a life of materialism and worldly pride. They spend the rest of their lives in heaven, where they are unable to commit sin, and they glorify God for eternity with everyone else who made it. Conversely, anyone who rejected God or failed to follow Him will spend the rest of eternity in hell, the home of Satan. There are no Christians who fully understand what specific actions will get you to heaven or hell. Rather, the understanding is that Jesus was purposely vague so that true believers would follow His path passionately and genuinely rather than just following a G. Christians are also ignorant of the precise nature of hell, despite the fact that Catholics believe that in 1917 Mary, the Mother of God, showed 3 Portuguese children a vision of hell in addition to a vision of World War II, a catastrophe that had not yet befallen the world at the time. Mormons theory. A lot of people argue about whether or not Mormons are a Christian denomination or a heresy. Many of its detractors use Mormonism's beliefs about the afterlife as evidence that they are being misled. The basic tenet of Mormon death theory is that good people go to paradise and wicked people go to hell. However, they have a more nuanced understanding of heaven than most Christians do. However, some members of the Mormon Church deny that this is part of their teaching, claiming that these views come from misinterpretations of Mormon sermons, which leads to a lot of confusion, speculation, and debate as to what they believe. Heaven is divided into 3 degrees of glory: the celestial kingdom, the terrestrial kingdom, and the heavenly kingdom. The celestial kingdom is the highest degree, and by far the most desirable is the celestial kingdom, where individuals can dwell in the presence of God. Here they eternally live in God's presence as families become gods, themselves create other worlds, have spirit children, and increase in power and glory for eternity. Egyptian Pharaoh. Theory, Egyptian. Unlike other afterlife theories that hold that the soul departs from the body, the ancient Egyptians thought that after death, their physical bodies would live on in a world that was very similar to this one. However, access to this afterlife was not guaranteed. The deceased had to make their way through a perilous underworld journey and face the ultimate judgment before being allowed entry. The tombs of the deceased were often adorned with text intended to help guide the deceased soul into the afterlife. Many of the deceased's personal belongings were also included in their tombs, which varied in value depending on their social status. The Egyptian pharaohs believed that death was not final and that they would return to the world for a second life. Pharaohs' tombs were furnished with an abundance of riches and a variety of goods. Paranormal theory. Similar to the multiverse theory we discussed previously, paranormal theory is a collection of ideas involving the paranormal and frequently lies outside the realm of mainstream scientific understanding. That being said, studies show that between 4 and 10% of Americans believe in ghosts, so it's not uncommon for people to seriously discuss the paranormal theory, which is the belief that after death, our souls remain among the living on Earth. This theory is frequently linked to ghost sightings or paranormal activity, and it's also commonly believed that communication with these souls is possible through various mediums like Ouija boards, various ghost hunting equipment, and even through their dreams. Hinduism, Hindu theory. There are many different interpretations of the Hindu theory of death and the hereafter, making it difficult to distill into a single ideology. Nevertheless, there are some recurring motifs and ideas that are generally acknowledged in Hindu thinking, insofar as they both believe in reincarnation and karma, dharma, moksha. Hindu death theory and Buddhism are quite similar. However, there are some significant distinctions, such as the fact that Hinduism has its own priests' rituals and caste structure. Buddhism affirms rebirth, but Hindu traditions see the soul as the eternal, unchanging essence of a living being that journeys through reincarnations until it achieves self-knowledge. Theory: cryogenics lacking a self-frozen head. Theory: while some people think that using cryogenics on humans might prevent death or the afterlife, frozen head theory is more of a hypothetical technique. All in all, the concept is that once we pass away, we can freeze our bodies in cryogenic nitrogen chambers, where they will be preserved until such time as medical discoveries and treatments enable us to be revived. Of course, as of January 2022, no one has ever survived a cryogenic procedure, but there is scientific evidence that this is feasible. Though it's unclear if stored bodies can be revived in the future, it hasn't stopped anybody from trying. Approximately 500 persons have reportedly been placed in cryogenic hibernation after legal death. Most of them are Americans, according to reports. The egg theory, originating from a well-known fictional internet narrative penned by Andy Weir in 2009, revolves around a central character referred to as you and the narrative voice of God, who identifies as me. In this tale, you are a 50-year-old man who perishes in a car accident and encounters God, the narrator. God reveals that you have undergone multiple reincarnations and are slated to be reborn as a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. According to God, every human being, past, present, and future, represents an incarnation of you. The narrative extends further, proposing the existence of other godlike entities elsewhere. Eventually, you are destined to ascend to godhood after experiencing every conceivable human life. The underlying purpose behind the creation of the universe, as explained by God, is to impart a profound understanding to the main character, that every act of victimization inflicted upon others is, in essence, self-inflicted. Additionally, the theory posits that every joy and sorrow ever felt will be personally experienced by you. Although not widely embraced as a belief system, this theory, grounded in the age-old adage, "What goes around comes around," has gained popularity on the internet since its publication and is deemed worthy of exploration